So here we have personal interests. Here we have public interests. And stop and think about this. Maybe I'm astonished by the most obvious things, but when you pay your taxes, you owe the money to the state. What does the state owe you in return? I don't know. It's not really spelled out anywhere, right? But something. I assume that political theorists have this all worked out, that the legitimacy of the state is grounded on an implicit assumption that the state will pay back something, whether it's protection, whether it's provision, something like that. So those words seem to cover a lot of ground. Now, because we're following the Gramscian method, we now have the problem of thinking, what is a not public debt and what is a not private debt? These possibilities are logically inscribed in the initial opposition, even if historically they take some time to develop. It's my argument in the Bonds of Debt that the current regime of indebtedness, however we want to date this, the situation we find ourselves in now, is where the old assumptions of some kind of equilibrium between private and public forms of debt have been displaced by these secondary forms. And these are hard for me to describe, but let me crack at it. By not private debt, what I think I mean is something like the way in which we are now all encouraged to undertake private debt for public goods. And that formula covers everything from the fact that we're expected to take out loans for our education, we're expected to go into debt to deal with our health care, we're expected to take out debt to cover all of the forms of implicit public provision that were formerly handled at this level, but now are displaced onto the private level, where clearly we can't handle it, right? Private individuals are unable to provide the goods that were formerly furnished through public means. So I call this exposure. We all become exposed. And by exposure, I mean, for those of you who read lots of the contemporary theory, I mean something like the status of bare life that people like Giorgio Agamben talk about. There's a point in which living in this economy exposes us to more dangers and risks than we're capable